Hey there, Bulldogs! Welcome back to our 2015-2016 school year here in our beautiful library again. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces out there. I recognize a lot of you, but I am seeing some new faces too. We have a lot of new students here at Bethany this year and a lot of new kindergartners that I need to get to know as well. So I'm super excited to be back with you again this year. Can't wait to get started with you. Do want to just kind of do a general library orientation today to get us back on track with our great being part of our pack here in our library, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And then some general safety things that we're going to talk about today as well to make sure that we're all safe in this part of our building whenever you're here with me, either for a library class or if you just happen to be in here checking out a book. So to get started, I want to share with you some new things that we have in the library as far as our pack goes. Now, this what I have here in front of me, if you can just turn your head around right there and look towards the back, the opposite way that you're looking right now, you can see our Pack Pride board over there where we have all the areas that are a part of being our pack broken down into what you can do in the library to be a part of our pack. So if you can look back this way again, that's just always there for your reference so you can look back to it if you should need to during the year. So here's how you can show Pack Pride in our library. I know you know how to show it in the cafeteria. I know you know how to show it on the bus. And today we're going to talk about how you can be a part of our pack here in the library by doing the following things. P stands for being, what is it? That's right, be positive. And that's what it says right there at the top. Here are the ways that you can be positive here in our library. Pretty simple. Use manners like please and thank you. Those aren't hard to do. I hear you using those all the time. Be helpful to Mrs. Lee and each other. That's very important this year, guys, especially the part about being helpful to me and each other because I'm not sure if you know, but Mrs. Cochran is not with us this year, and so this library is my sole responsibility. That means I'm going to need you to be helpful if I ask you to do something, and I'm going to need you to help each other in different situations throughout the year since I'm going to be by myself this year. And then last way you can be positive in the library is to keep your area clean and neat. You know, this room is huge and it takes a lot of work to keep it clean, neat, and organized. You can help me with your little hands by helping to keep your area that you're working in clean and neat. So at the conclusion of every class, when we clean up, I want you to keep that in mind. I want your area when you leave to look just like it does when you arrive, if not better. All right, next in green we can see act responsibly, the A for act responsibly. This one's super important, especially about our books. The first one says handle books with care. You know, when you check a book out of our library and you take it to your home, it's your job to take over the care of it. It no longer is in my care. You are beginning to care for it. And so you need to treat all of our books with care. That means a couple of things, and we're going to talk about this, especially in the lower grades over the next couple of weeks. That means that you keep your book with you at all times and you know where it is so that it doesn't get lost. And then when you do have it with you, that you're taking really good care of it. We're making sure that we're not spilling things on it. Pages aren't accidentally getting ripped. That kind of thing that can really damage the life of our books. And they're your responsibility when you have them, so I am expecting you to take good care of them. Remember, I want you to have TLC with them, a good, tender, loving care. You have to kind of treat them like your little baby when you have them with you. Next, you're going to make sure you treat our equipment gently here in the school, and that includes our computers, our iPads, our Chromebooks. We want to make sure at all times that we're being very gentle with our equipment of any kind. You know, equipment of computer nature is extremely expensive, and so we want to make our equipment last as long as we can, and you can help us by treating it gently. Put books on the shelf as taught. You know, guys, we're going to talk about this over the next couple of weeks as well. Next week, we're actually going to talk about checkout procedures and shelf care. But I think you remember probably from last year and in years past, we always just want to make sure we're putting books back where they belong in their correct address in the library. And that also we're putting it with the spine facing out. So that part of the book that tells us the title of the book is facing out so that someone can see what the title of the book is. And we'll go more in depth into that next week when we talk about shelf care. And then last way you can act responsibly in the library, walking feet in the library at all times. I know you've got a lot of energy and you're just going sometimes, but remember, walking feet, we have a lot of people in here sometimes at class, people doing research, people checking out books, people bringing books back. We don't want to have any bump ups in the library where somebody runs into somebody else. So make sure you always have your walking feet in the library. All right, down here in this corner we have the C for challenge yourself. The ways that you can challenge yourself when you're here in the library are return books on time. This is a biggie. And I have to say, if over the past 3 years when I've been back with you guys here at Bethany, if there is one area that I think that we need to work on the most, this one is it. We have a really hard time with some people wanting to hold on to a book forever and ever and ever. You're allowed to check out a book for a 2-week period. That's an extensive amount of time for you to be able to read your book. I want you to make sure you're reading your book and then you're bringing it back when you're finished with it, so that we're not having to have the problem of where you have an overdue book. And so I want to make sure that you can always bring your books back on time. Remember, other people are wanting to check out those books too, and if you're keeping them at home just collecting dust on your bookshelf, well, other people are missing out. So in challenging yourself, I do expect you to return your books on time. Next, use the correct voice level when you're here in the library. Sometimes I'll ask you to be at a level 1, but generally not. Generally, I want you talking to each other while we're working, and so we want to keep it at that, voice level 2, 2.5, that small group voice level. We don't want to go above that because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on here all the time. We don't want to be bothering other people that are doing stuff here in the library as well. So use that correct voice level. Another way I want you to challenge yourself this year in the library is to work hard and have fun. You can have fun while you're doing work. It's all in the way that you approach it in your brain. So I want you to work hard this year and see how much you can learn and challenge yourself while you're here in the library and have fun at the same time. It's a much better situation if you're in the middle of something, having fun doing it instead of with an attitude like, oh, I wish this was over. So let's try to work hard and have fun this year. And the last way I want you to challenge yourself, you won't be surprised by this one at all. Read every chance you get. I'd love to see you with a book at all times. You know how much I love to read. It's one of my favorite things to do when I have free time. And I want you to be reading every chance you get so that you can grow your brain. All right. And last, K for showing kindness. In the library, to show kindness, I'd like to hear kind words at all times, not just to myself, but to each other as well. Follow directions the first time they're asked, not second or third. I want them done the first time. If I ask you to do something, it's for a good reason. Trust me and do it, okay? Always push in your chair. Some of you know I am sometimes a little bit of a clumsy person, and I really need you to push in your chair so I don't accidentally trip over your chair while we're here together in the library. And last, I talked about this one a little bit up here. Always treat our books with TLC, tender, loving care. You need to be kind not just to each other, but to all of the books in our library as well. So show that kindness not just to each other, but to the materials that we have in the library for you also. So that's a little wrap up of what I'm expecting to show Pack Pride while you're here in the library. Again, if you should happen to forget any of those things during the year, that Pack Pride board is right there behind you to kind of always be your reminder. And I have to say, I do think that our library has some of the best behavior in the entire school. I very rarely have any problems with kids not doing what they're supposed to. This is just kind of as a refresher to remind you to get us started off on the right foot for the beginning of this school year. So next, now that we've talked about behavior here in the library, let's talk about safety, because I want more than anything else for you guys to be safe when you're here with me in the library. And it's my job to keep you safe. Of course, I can't do it alone. I need your help to keep you safe here in the library. So here's a little bit about library safety. Some general library safety rules. Again, it's a walking zone only. Read it for me. Walking zone only. Again, we don't want any bump ups with other people while we're in here. It has happened before. Somebody's walking and they're not watching where they're going and they bump heads with each other. So we want to make sure it's a walking zone only, not running, and you're watching where you're going. Second, respect other people's space. Although our library is huge, when you're over at our work tables over there, it's not a whole lot of space to work with, especially if you're an older kid as you guys are beginning to grow up. So you have to be respectful of each other's space. Stay inside your own space bubble. Imagine you have an invisible bubble around you. You don't want to be in somebody's space bubble when they don't want you to be. So you keep a space around you that is yours and let them have their space around them that is theirs. And last, number 3, keep our library home clean. This is my library at home. I spend the entire day, most of the time, here in the library, and I need you to help me keep it clean. You know, if you got a big mess somewhere, you might trip over something or hurt yourself on something if there's big piles of mess everywhere. So we want to make sure you're helping me to keep our library home clean. Next safety issue that I wanted to talk to you about, and this was a big one. These are the things I want to make sure you know what to do in these situations. If you're new to Bethany, pay particular attention to what to do in these scenarios. First, I want to talk to you about the fire drill exit and behaviors. Okay? So if you're here with me in the library, and by the way, this counts for if you're in here with me for class like this, or if we're ever working at our tables, or if you're in here taking a test, if you're in here checking out a book, if you're in here delivering a note to me, if you're in here filming the Good Morning Show in the back room, wherever you are in the library, if the fire drill tone should go off, you have to stay with me. So if you're over there checking out a book and you hear it go off, don't think, oh, I'm going to run back to my teacher. No. You might encounter a fire somewhere between here and there, and I want to make sure you're safe. So if the tone goes off, you immediately stop whatever you're doing. Everyone becomes perfectly silent, and we form a line at this exit door right over here along this big wall of windows that you can see right here with us. It's very important, the behavior during the fire drill, that you guys remain extremely silent during a fire drill. It's for your safety so that the teachers can communicate among ourselves about what's going on. So if the fire drill tone were to go off, you would immediately become silent. You would begin walking, not running, in a very calm manner over to the exit door. Now, once we got to the exit door, I'm going to lead you out into the 3-5 playground where we're going to assemble there for everybody to be counted up. It's very important that we stay in a single file line and we remain calm at all times. Okay? Now, also I have written here beside that safety experts. In your class, we have chosen 2 people who is the same 2 people in all of our enrichment classes when you go to PE, art, music, computer lab, or the library. We have chosen 2 people. Ms. Long helped us with this, and I was so appreciative that she did this for us. We've chosen 2 people who we feel confident that if there were an emergency situation like a fire drill or a lockdown, that those 2 people would be able to handle a couple of things that we need some help with. So if you're chosen as a safety expert, and I'll tell you who those 2 people are in just a moment. I have the list right over there of everyone in each class that has been chosen. At the conclusion of this video, before you go start working, I'm going to go over who those people are so you know who you are. So there's 2 people that have been chosen. One's kind of the primary person that's in charge most of the time, and the other one is kind of the backup person in case that first person happens to be absent. Because you know that could happen. Somebody could be sick and not here. So if you're the primary or the secondary person that's the backup person, what's going to happen is if the fire drill goes off, before you line up at the door, you're going to grab 2 things for me. The radio, if I don't already have it in my hands, which is located right over here beside my chair. You can see it right over here. It's beside my chair, and it's in the charging base right there. So you're going to grab that radio. And then you're also going to grab the class clipboard. When your class comes into the library each week, whoever is carrying the clipboard, I want you to put it right over there on the top of that cart. Do you guys see that cart right over there that has the rainbow colors? It's got the blue, the purple, the orange, the green, and the pink on it right there. Yep, and on top of that, you can see there's a little book holder right there. So whoever brings the clipboard in each week should put the clipboard right there on top of that little book holder. It's a white device where you can just lay it on top. It holds the clipboard nicely. So if you're the safety expert, you're just in charge of grabbing 2 things, the radio and the clipboard, and then going out with the rest of the class with those items. Once we get outside, I'll need you to give me those items, or on the way out, you'll need to hand those items to me. All right. That's the fire drill. I'm sure we'll never need it, but we better have it in place just in case. The last safety thing I want to talk to you about today is the lockdown procedures and behavior. You know, at some point when you're here in the library, again, just like for the fire drill, it could be for any reason that you might be visiting us here in the library, Ms. Covell may very well call a lockdown. If she calls a lockdown, we immediately begin to go right back there to our back room. I'm sure you remember it from last year if you were here. If you were not here last year, I'll show you where it is in just a little bit. but we would immediately go into that back room, back door back there, and then we go all the way back into another safe closet. It's a very safe place. There are no windows there, and there's only one door that I will have locked down, of course, and that's where we'll head. Again, in a lockdown, if she calls a lockdown, we must become immediately calm, silent, and moving with walking feet back to that safe zone. And I'll help you get back there. I'll help you lead you where you need to go. I just want to make sure that everybody knows where to go in case of a lockdown. If a lockdown occurs, you just stand up and begin walking that way, and you'll see which way we go. Okay? Again, I am sure we will never need to do any of these things, but just in case, we need to know what to do to keep ourselves safe when we're here at the Bethany Library. All right, guys. Now, what we're going to do at this time is the video is about to end. Next week, as I said earlier, we'll talk about checkout procedures, which I know checkout has already begun, but I need to tell you a couple of other things next week that the whole school needs to hear. For now, what you need to know is make sure you bring your library card with you when you come to check out books. That's the top thing you need to do for me this time. Next week, we'll go over checkout procedures and a couple of new things we have in place, as well as shelf care. At the conclusion of this video, I will tell the two people in the class who the safety experts are. And then I have a getting to know you activity for each grade level over here, right underneath that table beside my reading chair there. And I will share with you what you're going to do on that activity. I do not expect you to finish this activity today. I will be taking up this work, and we'll be working on it over the next several weeks. It'll take us a little bit of time to kind of get our orientation going on and know what we're doing. So please know I don't expect you to do all this in one day, and I will take questions at the conclusion of the video as well. So we'll do questions, safety expert assignments, and then we'll begin working. At the conclusion of class, I will take up your work and put it into our folders over there by class that is under the TV over there, and then we'll pick up where we left off next week. Guys, I can't wait to work with you this year. We have a ton of great stuff to do, and we've got some exciting things that are going on here at Bethany. I can't wait to get started with you, and I hope you're as excited as I am. All right, I'm going to close out the video now, and we'll get started with the rest of our day. See you later.